GM. How is everyone doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
Very good. Looking forward to my last midnight DAO call. Heading back to the Eurozone next week, so
Ah, very nice.
I'm looking forward to that very much. I am not a night owl.
Yeah, I got for me
But
11
anyway,
p.m. You must be in the
I'm in the 1
even
a.m.
further
zone
over.
right now.
Yeah,
All fun, all fun. So yeah, this week, Snapshot has been all nice and quiet, so we have zero proposals opened or closed. So all we have is time for plenty of healthy discussion. So I thought I might go back to front for what I posted on the agenda, seeing as we've already mentioned it, with Oliver Spoon stepping down from dropped and stepping away completely. That leaves um, a DAO Foundation director spot open. So we now need to replace Oliver Spoon on that. So whether we go for a whole new vote again, or we go one place down on the previous vote, which would bring in Kakusho, who was next in line. So let's see what people are thinking on this one. Yeah, it has, as Troyna says, we have had something similar happen before. I mean, I personally think seeing as the time frame is so short between the last election and seeing as the new directors haven't even been onboarded fully yet, I'm definitely all for just taking the next person down on the list who was voted in. But definitely something that should be discussed.
yeah. Seems like there's precedent, so
It does,
let's
it
uh let's
does.
follow with that. Kakusho gets my vote.
Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus. So, I mean,
Oliver did not say he would sign, but he said he was leaving the Discord. He did tell us that if we need signatures in the interim between now and the end of the term, or until I guess the KYC is complete, which we should also discuss here, um, he said that we could DM him and he'll sign whatever's necessary. So once we have, I guess the three new directors KYC'd and ready to roll, then we can move forward. Also, just a little update: I have not had a chance to email the CorpSec peeps that we have. I did. We think we have their email, and I just need to send out an email. I've just been really busy this week. I've been playing too many video games.
it's a hazard. Yeah. So it looks like so far consensus is heading for next in line on the previous election, which would bring Kakusho into the fold. Um, but yeah, as Hardcore and China are saying, yeah, that sounds good to me. Anyone who feels strongly in the opposite direction, please let us know and we can take it from there. And yeah, so is emailing the CorpSec, is that on No Futures Head? Is that the way we're playing it at the moment?
That is not technically a task that's been assigned to me. It's just been we were trying to figure out
Hmm.
who the exact person is. We have like Choina doing some cracked detective work has found them via LinkedIn. So it's just a matter of emailing them and making sure it's the correct person and seeing if they even respond.
Hmm.
It'd be good to reach out to Ross though, which I don't have his contact, just so that we could figure out who he was in direct contact with and maybe get that information.
It's all in the Constitution. I was looking at it the other day in preparation for this. Uh, if you look at the, let me pull it up again. So we do have a, like, the corp sec, the secretary is listed there, and then there's also like the supervisor, that's the UBO, the ultimate beneficiary owner for the DAO. But we have a secretary, but we don't have, like, none of the directors is elected to be the person that communicates with the corporate secretary. So all we have elected is a treasurer at this point, who is Maxi Crouton, but there's no one elected to actually communicate directly with the corporate secretary and, like, update the documents and make sure that everything is in line.
Which is definitely something I think we need to seriously start moving towards fixing. I know I've said it in the past before that a secretary or some sort of admin person would definitely smooth a lot of things over. There's a lot of small gaps and holes, procedures and documentation and records and all that fun stuff that is just not happening. And an actual dedicated admin person, someone that can be held accountable and is on the job, would fill these things. It would make transitions a lot smoother. And should the proverbial ever hit the fan and some sort of, legal challenge or who knows whatever actually happened to the foundation, we would be prepared if we had a secretary already on the go with records and everything set up, as opposed to scrambling as required. So it would be, I think, definitely something in our best interest to be proactive about and get on it. As far as any other positions at this point, it doesn't seem like we need anyone else unless we wanted to do any sort of kind of ramp up DAO activities in any sort of more focused way to get some sort of, I don't know, structure or programs or something happening. So at this point, yeah, I think we should probably be looking into what we would want from a secretary from the DAO side and legal representation as well, and start hashing out the details of that.
Do people want? I mean, we have 9 directors. One of them is already a treasurer. So would it make sense to have one of the directors as the secretary? I don't think there's any rules against that in the Constitution.
I don't think there'd be any rules against it or any issues with it. You would just want to make sure that they're two separate positions so that if they step down as a director, that the admin
Right.
role continued on. You'd want that continuity. I mean, as a general rule, that would be a pretty small position. There's, apart from maybe going through and doing the backlog of what needs to be recorded, as far as monthly workload, should be pretty minimal.
We have you guys as the facilitators. Could also have a, like, add to that position and have the facilitators be handling that. But what I don't like about that is that there's multiple facilitators, and this feels like it should be kind of a single individual
Yeah,
handling
I'm
it.
definitely on the
But the
single
facilitator,
individual. Yeah, I think it should be one person for sure. Just, I mean, technically, you could potentially have a secretary admin person that, say, you pick one next week that continues on for the next 10, 15 years. Like, it would be,
yeah,
it's possible and it would be ideal to get that kind of continuity. And then you'd have someone that we could turn to for what was the precedent for, different situations. We could have someone standardizing what proposals look like, format wise for Snapshot, and keeping records of decisions that are made and if they're being followed through in a timely manner and things like that. Like there's a fair bit we could tighten with a good secretary.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some details around that we need to go through. Yeah, definitely need, as Jesse says. Because as far as this corp secretary is concerned, like, is someone paying them for anything ever? How does it work?
So
That's yeah. Go ahead, Jesse.
I could speak to like my experience with the corp secretaries. They basically just do all the paperwork for you. So every time I've set up a company, I reach out to the corp sec, and it's, I don't know, here in Singapore it's like $800 to $1,000 a year, or no, $800 to $1,000 to start to incorporate, and then they'll like charge you per request. So if you're like, hey, I need all my paperwork again, or I need to update, the board of directors, then they'll say, okay, we'll do that. Send us the info, and we'll send you I don't know, a $250 bill or something. So they're like very neutral. They don't really do anything except just ensure the process goes smooth for you and is really easy. And they're not going to do your accounting for you. They're not going to do any decision making for you. They just execute the basics. So in that sense, they're very simple, which I think is the good news here. Like, we just need to we're probably one SIG prop away from nominating someone to be the point of contact. And as I wrote here, I think just for transparency, like, you could take this further, but at a bare minimum, it could just be like, whoever that point of contact, that secretary is, can CC all the directors or make a post in the Discord or both. Like, it would be enough. It's not really like a very sensitive thing. I mean, it is if they went rogue, I guess. there is that. So you want to nominate them and have trust, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty straightforward process, and corp secs are just there to execute what you ask them to do.
So cool. So it's like an on-demand. We ask them for something, they'll do it, and that's
Yep,
pretty
and
much
then they
it.
send you the bill. Yeah.
Cool. And the admin person, were they the ones that were going to be in some way involved with the KYC of the foundation directors?
So I had an interesting talk with our own lawyer today, like this last week. I just asked on the DAO's behalf. I was like, hey, the DAO's kind of a spot. Like, what's your take on this? Like, high level, they don't know anything about the DAO. And they were just like, oh yeah, like, the corp sec's going to need to know who those new people are anyway. So just let them handle that. Like, they're going to need identification and a name to add them to the constitution or to the corporate docs anyway. So it's kind of redundant if you ask Pixelcraft to do it. Plus Pixelcraft, they're like, you guys really aren't qualified to be doing that. You don't have super secure storage, and it's like just unnecessary. But yeah, in terms of, I think KYC isn't even really a thing here in this case. It's just like the corporate secretary is going to ask for that name, date of birth, identification anyway. And so it kind of takes care of it. They said if you really want to go above and beyond, yeah, you could. There's like services out there that will, there's like, you'll go in and you'll kind of what we did for the curve, right? You just go into the platform and you have to upload all your data and wait a week for them to KYC you. That would be also an option, but I feel like it's a bit overkill here. We just need the corporate secretary to know who they're adding to the doc and know that they're not on like some list. I think that's my position. I could be missing something.
Yeah.
I think we're at a little bit of we can make this as complicated or as simple as we want, basically.
Yeah, that's fair. So how's the chat going here?
I got it. I see all this Gotchi Guardian stuff coming in. How about we just get there's 8 directors, right? There's 8 positions in Guardians. Winner becomes the secretary. Let's go.
I mean, do any of the current directors want to do the secretary position? Probably would be it would be an increase in the quarterly salary, I would imagine. I don't think it would be I think it would be less work than what Maxi Crouton is doing. But it's kind of what the DAO wants that position to be. It could be just emailing and updating when there's changes. That could be as simple as that. Uh, to something like taking minutes at these calls. But I think that's more of what facilitators are doing. So maybe
We can
don't
get
need that.
AI to do that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
it'll
basically like
grow. Oh, I think it'll start small, but I think it's something that will grow as our needs grow. That's the way I'm kind of seeing that position. I mean, at the moment, we don't need much at all, but in the future, I think, because it's usually the way, kind of corporate environment, the admin person ends up getting lumped with this and then more and then more and then more. That's how it always ended up in my history. So I think it's definitely something that might start small but turn into more.
yeah, probably. Like right now, the only problems that we need solving is like who has the right to contact our corporate secretary on our DAO's behalf. But later it might grow into more. So maybe a quarterly or some kind of review at a normal time, or every time there's an election, there'd be a review of the job. And I don't know. This is the kind of stuff that can
Mm,
bog it down, but it's also good to plan ahead for some way to like review compensation and scope.
yeah. So maybe we should start a thread and we can get our heads together on what would be fall into this person's role, and then people can throw their names in the ring and we can take it from there. Because it definitely would need to be reviewed periodically for sure. Cool. Well, I think that's probably enough for that for now. And
Jesse, it's
mm,
just last thing on this. Is this currently, because I keep seeing people asking about the DAO directors being kind of sworn in. Is this currently a blocker for the DAO, for the new multi-sig signers? How urgent is this topic?
Good question. I don't have the answer. I know that, as I recall, the multi-sig signers should be 1-to-1 with the seated directors.
Yeah.
And currently, if we were to move forward, they're not seated directors, technically, legally, they're not, but they would be multi-sig signers. So we do need those signers for practical purposes, but I do think it's a bit urgent. Like we should.
Yeah.
I don't even know if like picking out a point of contact requires a full sig prop. That seems a bit intense.
I would think
Not
at
sure
this
what
point,
everyone's thoughts on
someone,
that are.
yeah, I think we could get, anyone to contact them at the moment, whoever. I mean, this is just a first point of contact, and, we can take it from there. Because we don't want to slow down the onboarding of our directors. So it's just
That's a great point.
a good opportunity now to start that process. And yeah,
Yeah, this is not something that happens very often. We could literally just be like, hey, it's Sunday, we're on the DAO call. Let's email them. I'm just going to share my screen and I'll write the email and send it. Not me, but I mean, somebody could do that. And I would be okay with it. Like we could watch them send the email. Um, so more than one way to probably do this.
Radio. Well, no future. Do you want to attempt the email of this secretary this time round? And we'll get a thread up and running for a secretary related role. And
I feel
how
like
do
we
we
have
want to
we have
conclude?
the email, right? Like we have their, I
We
think, is it
think.
Julian, or do we have someone found his email? I saw someone mention it, I think.
yeah, I believe it's in the director's chat. Let me go and check
Is it
that.
Juliet or something?
Juliet Fenn.
Yeah, yeah. Quality Corporate Services Limited. I don't
the
see an
email
email
come
in
up.
there though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see contact info. Maybe there's something there. Yeah,
So
that's our corporate secretary is Quality Corporate Services Limited, Cayman Islands. Oh, Jesse, you're gonna make me use it, man. I haven't dropped this one yet. Oh, here you go, guys. It's been haven't put a new GIF out this week, but here we go.
Oh, I know you love that meme. There it is. There it is. Look. Is that the Mark outfit, the wearable?
It is, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Very nice.
Guys, what should the caption be? I'll drop this on X right now. What should we say for the caption?
Yeah. It's so good.
Gotchi is on it.
Yeah. No future. When you get a reply from the corporate sec, just drop this GIF. Like, yeah.
Quality work from Big Pulse.
you should make a callback to your post about that orgy parlor that you posted about earlier.
Oh yeah.
When you make it out of the orgy
Yeah.
parlor.
Have the main account reply to your crazy Fujo thing.
Can do.
Oh my gosh. Pretty good.
So to swing back around, oh, hold on. Yeah, Cryptogotchi has a point there as far as the naming, because I think we're already got things confusing enough by calling our multi-sig signers directors. So maybe our secretary for the DAO should be called something other than a secretary. That makes sense to me. But to swing back around to the foundation director, how do we want to decide on whether Kokoshu makes it or we have a new election? Is the burning question at the moment. Snapshot is lonely at the moment.
Yeah, we're all caught up on XP, I think, right? We're I think maybe one or two props away from being caught up, so we need to get the snapshot go brr. We did authors XP last snapshot. showing that was technically after the call, but are we asking whether or not there needs to be another vote? I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine either way.
Yeah, I guess the only real issue is time. Well, other issue is time. It would be nice to onboard all the directors together. So it would be nice to fill this role before, just to keep all the timings together. Because I know we did clarify in the prop how to, I think, deal with slightly off timings for onboarding and re-election. And I know we're only going to be talking about a few weeks in the difference here if it comes to it. But yeah. And that is the other thing. Does anyone else want to be in the running? Because there was one other person on that last election that didn't make it. Was it Dort?
Dort. Yeah, it was Dort.
In theory, I would assume that they would like to come on again, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a good first step here. Make a thread. Let's have a little conversation about it this week, and by next week we should have an email sent through to the corpsec, and we can also decide whether or not to do a run-up election for this position.
Sense to me. So, if you want to knock up those threads, that would be ideal. And then we can move on to the active discussions that have been going on. So they all kind of interrelate with each other and overlap. We have the ghost value strategies, a buyback ghost, protect 4 more rarity farming seasons as we know it, and the future of rarity farming. So all of these have been active. They all overlap. They all need, I mean, there is no one hit wonder that's going to get all this kind of organized. So they all kind of need to be addressed in one go to be truly successful. So does anyone have any, or any other speakers, anyone else want to come up on stage and give their thoughts? I'll give you a quick rundown of where we are with them, for those that haven't been looking at the threads. So we have Hardcore and Crypto Green have brought in a buyback ghost thread because at the moment it's approaching a very good time to snap up some ghost, which will be needed to complete the 4 rarity farming seasons that would be funded by the Curve Fund. So Phantasma has a Protect the Blast 4 seasons before anything is changed. So if we buy back the ghost, Hardcore did a poll, and the successful vote there was to snap up 1.5 million ghost below 70 cents. So that would then secure enough ghost to finish off the missing half a season for rarity farming. That would take us to rarity farming season 13, which would be, going by the dates previously put forward, would take us to December as the beginning of rarity farming season 13. That would then in theory, finish off the kind of old debt to original, or however you want to put it, early adopters, or yeah. And then we would be more open to changing rarity farming drastically, which could then be used to stimulate newcomers into the community, as a lot of people are thinking that the current rarity farming model is too hard to, or too expensive to crack into, to make your way up the leaderboard. So there's been a few various options for how to shake it up, and whether that's a complete overhaul or partial, that needs to be determined. Plus, we also have staking 2.0, whatever that looks like. The Hungry Ghost idea was kind of 50-50. The main issue with that seemed to be the ability to target specific gotchis and wallets. And then we also have introducing more high stakes gaming and potentially the death of gotchis, as well as reducing the supply by potentially killing off inactive gotchis, and which would then, in theory, lead us into a new haunt and also new content, i.e., wearables, which would be a marketable event and could also be a whole design competition community event in another way. So, I mean, there's a lot there. So, do we have any takers on where we want to start with that? Yes,
Yeah, I
the
think
idea of killing gotchis.
what my main point was that the flywheel for rarity farming is kind of stuck right now. Like we stopped printing assets because it was diluting the old assets, but we're also stuck with the old assets, and a lot of them don't really have that much value because most of the value accrues to the highest tier assets. So one idea was, if we're okay with having a little bit of kind of planned dilution like they do in economics, where you have planned inflation, we could allow people to spend a little bit of essence and maybe ghost to mint a new portal, as long as, you could say, as long as the total supply of portals is never greater than 25,000. So you'd have to like burn a gotchi to get the essence to then mint a new portal, but you're burning essence at the same time. So the number of gotchis would actually like go down over time because there's not enough essence. So as long as you have the essence, you could pretty much always you could always mint a new portal, which would cause mild inflation on the BRS. Like, I don't think it would be really insane, but that would essentially be like a haunt 3 that would just be, we could either cap it or we could have it be like a rotating haunt 3, where maybe we could occasionally like change out the different collaterals that you could have, or like we could get a little bit more creative with it. But part of that is that there would also, you know, people want to be able to speculate on new stuff. That's one thing that we've kind of been missing out for almost 3 years, or 2 years in this. Yeah, almost 3 years now. Like, we haven't really done any primary sales. It's really hard to break through the noise if you're not doing a primary sale. So something's gotta budge if we really want to push Aavegotchi through and like refund or get refill the DAO coffers. Like I don't think it's all the work that we're doing with Pixelcraft and the gaming is nice, and I think it will eventually pay off. But at the same time, there's nothing that hits harder than like a primary sale in crypto.
Yeah, I remember we had the wearables report, and there was a lot of missing wearables that were waiting for a new to be filled. I mean, it would be nice to schedule 2 or 3 new art competition type rounds every year so that there would be a steady stream of new wearables coming in. That is always fun to have something new to dress your gotchis in, and how we distribute that would be another thing. But just to have that new content is definitely something I would be looking forward to, on top of whatever it takes to get a new haunt. Or I do also like the idea of neglected gotchis moving on to the wherever neglected nether realm. But yeah, I mean, Grim, you were not. Yeah. Did you want to come up and speak? Because you had a few ideas in the thread. Mm. I think the tricky part is addressing everything at once, because addressing any of these single issues at one by one is not going to have the effect we need to get eyes on Aavegotchi, newcomers to the community, and DAO coffers growing, and everything else that we want. So we need to kind of make a coordinated effort.
Yeah, I think what we're lacking, like we have depth as an ecosystem. I think we've got plenty of depth, but we are lacking in entry points for people, like easy entry points where in this cycle especially, people have like the attention of, I don't know, like retarded goldfish. Like they can't like focus on stuff for very long. So it's really when you talk about like a deep rabbit hole and stuff, I feel like the current cycle, people that might actually like turn them off. They're like, oh, I don't want a deep like rabbit hole. I want something simple. They want a big brain stuff is not in fashion at the moment. It's all about the
Yeah, I
left
think
curve.
it seems pretty shallow at the moment, for sure. Depth is not what seems
Yeah.
to be in flavor.
I think it'll come back. Like I think people eventually will get sick of left curving and be more into the right curving stuff. But at the moment, we don't really. Where we're trying to go with the games is to make more of a left curve kind of fit for short attention span, uh, token driven gaming kind of. That's going to take a little bit more time to get developed. But at the same time, I mean, having an entry point in the asset itself would also be pretty cool. But it does require some change of the core protocol, because right now there's really no great entry point for a newcomer to like get started.
This is true. So, I mean, we have our games coming in. There seems to be interest from a kind of, I don't know, higher level. Like we had Andromeda, if I'm saying it right, a few weeks back with their Nintendo Switch game potential. And we had Ubisoft a while back with their possible other mystery Captain Laserhawk style connection.
Yeah, I mean
And I
those
know
are
that
like
Andromeda
BD
was talking
partnerships.
Ubisoft as well. Yeah. So I mean, from that level, there seems to be interest. It's the retail general.
Yeah, well, those are all kind of BD partnerships that
Yeah.
companies like to work with other companies. But at the end of the day, you also need good entry points for people to. Uh, I don't know. There seems to be this like there's a mentality that people in crypto always want to be early to stuff, and if they don't feel early, they're not gonna like buy anything in your ecosystem. So I think we've we've made it
We're not
it's
early.
not extremely easy to be early in Aavegotchi at this point
No.
because a lot of the rarity farming. We're in season 10 of rarity farming. Tap turn.
So that is the
So
conundrum.
yeah, if there was a way to do another more content, another haunt, tap into other communities, be like, oh, you can, you know, you can have a Doge collateral gotchi or like a virtuals collateral gotchi or I don't know, some things like that to be able to reach out to those communities and let them know. Stuff like that might get people interested, but to do that, we need uh, more haunt, another haunt. We don't want to go past our supply cap though, so I think something about like spending essence could be interesting. A Trump collateral gotchi.
No comment.
Well, with Pirate Nation, and you're minting a free pirate, like they have the whole game loop that's all set out. With Aavegotchi, we have games like Gotchi Guardians and Gotchiverse that's coming out. Uh, you you don't necessarily need a Gotchi to play those. There is a free Gotchi option in those games. Yeah, I agree with Grim. We need some quick wins, and we want people out there being like, "Oh my god, I just played this gotcha game and I won $10,000." That's the kind of marketing that you want in the current cycle.
Well, we were talking about the high stakes PvP gaming. Like, some people were looking at, potentially gotchis being killed in the arena. But the
Hmm.
other option was to have winner takes all and you lose your gotchi and someone else gets it. So if, if you're a newbie playing with a rented gotchi in some way and you win a new gotchi, I mean, that would definitely be something that would get people talking. Oh, how do people feel about this PvP?
Yeah, one idea we have for GBS is like a hardcore mode. If you guys played Diablo back in the day, they have even I think Elon Musk was his Shadow Gamer was playing on hardcore mode. If you die in the game, you lose your asset. But we could give out like more bigger rewards for that kind of leaderboard. Like if your gotchi dies in the game, we burn it right there. It's gone. Yeah, with shitty with shitty gotchis ain't a terrible idea. But that's yeah, you wouldn't be playing with slide probably. But it could be there's going to be a couple different difficulties there's going to be 3 different difficulty levels, so you might have quite a few people playing normal difficulty with a 350 brs gotchi on hardcore mode. Yeah, You wouldn't. It would not be available for rented gotchis. I think if you rent it out for 0.1 ghost. I think this would only be for non-rented gotchis.
Makes sense if you can't lose the rental. Is there any way of well, it's not really breeding. I know like unless you talk about like spider style mating where two gotchis get together and form one. One eats the other
merge,
and turns
gotchi
into a new
merging.
gotchi, yeah.
Right. Yeah, no future. That email looks much better.
Okay, I'll ship it. Oh, I need the emails for all the directors before I can send it, so I can CC everybody on it.
Right. Can you guys ping in the director's chat? Get everyone's email. Good job, guys. I mean, ultimately, just burning gotchis is not going to bring demand back. We've got to create experiences that people in crypto want to participate in. So,
Mm.
price go up or supply go down, or they can be powerful, but there's got to be something together that's driving that demand. And this is why we've gone all in on gaming, because I do think that there is going to be a gaming cycle, a gaming bubble, or whatever. This cycle, there has to be. It's just a question of will we be in the right place? Can we take advantage of it and have the right product ready? It could be next month. It could be in October. Really hard to say.
Gotcha. So, did anyone have any thoughts on the new wearables and filling those missing slots and having design competitions? Because they always created a nice buzz. Would that be something we'd want to lock in and just say, schedule in ahead, maybe, once or twice a year going forward until we fill all those slots at least, that we'll do a competition of some sort?
The past competitions take a lot of pixelcraft bandwidth. I haven't really like. There's a lot of wearables that haven't really been minted or forged. So if we were to do them, I would really prefer that we actually mint new wearables and not just keep creating schematics. They don't generate any interest outside of our core community. It's very hard to tell someone, I'm going to give you this schematic, but you need to go get the essence and the core and the alloy to make it into a wearable that you can then sell on the market.
For sure. I know I was just doing my first forging the other day. I have to collect my new Granny glasses as soon as I get my computer back from the shop. But it is definitely a little bit too complicated for a newbie to be going looking for the essence, the core, the schematic, and everything. So I'm definitely all for new wearables. And if we had, I mean, the other idea is if we had a more frequent cycle of creating new wearables, that we could maybe pop in some more current flavor of the month wearables where we can tap into whatever's currently all the rage. So, I mean, that's one option. And then we also have the concept of what is rarity farming, or what is going to replace rarity farming after the next 3 seasons that are left, 3 new seasons. So that is something else that is hard to nail down. Where do we want to take that? Is there a way of streamlining new wearable creation so it's not so much of a drain on PC dev time?
A little bit, like if they're not totally new, but they're kind of riffing off the same models, that does speed things up quite a bit. Like, but if we have to create totally new models, even with the pixel art, like it all goes through multiple cycles of iteration to get it pixel perfect. And we had lots of battles back and forth with a lot of the Forge wearables and the community design one, because the designs in some cases like weren't the same artistic style as what we've established with the normal Gotchi pixel art. So I personally don't think that type of content is gonna, like, we're not gonna grow the user base a ton right now with new wearables. It's very iterative. I think we need to think bigger as a community. Like, wearables are nice, but I don't think we're gonna like generate a bunch of buzz just from those.
To be fair, with the way the market is now and the very, very short attention spans that seem to be going around, it really feels like something extremely drastic, like
Yeah.
the fate of neglected gotchis might be one of the few things that would really turn heads.
Yeah.
But
There's got to be like
naturally,
something like a high concept that people can be like, oh, like everyone wants novelty right now in this market. Everything's got to be like something they've not done or thrown money into before. I like to think that we're not creating like NFTs. We're creating experiences on chain. That's what we've always thought about at Pixelcraft. We're trying to create experiences for people to do on chain, because on chain is a new medium. It's just like when we went online, you were doing new experiences that you could only do online. Same thing with on chain. So it's like, try to think in like, what are experiences that people have not done yet in crypto on chain that would be fun to do.
that is the question. I mean, we have a lot, like we've always said, there's a lot going on in the ecosystem. It is a rabbit hole. There is depth. We have a lot of angles we can play with. It's just a matter of tying a few of these together to create, like you said, something new and some buzz. New characters to the Gotchiverse. A pet that can poop and die. Yeah, do we want anyone other than Gotchis running around the Gotchiverse? That could definitely bring in different communities or temporary flavors.
Gotchis that have zero kinship should die. Yeah, maybe. I think we might have a lot of very pissed off OGs, but at the same time, I mean, if they haven't pet their gotchi in a year, maybe
I mean,
if you don't
this
pet it, you lose it. We didn't
it
want to
makes
go that
sense to
extreme
me.
with this, but I totally get it.
If you've neglected it to that point, I think it's only fair. I know I had a few gotchis I was renting from someone that was not touching theirs, and the few I had were getting pet, but they never claimed them back. And in the end, I did return them, and I'm sure they're heading to zero now. But they had some pretty fire wearables. But yeah, I mean, harsh, but if it's down to zero, something drastic should happen, I think. They'll still be able to redeem their wearables if they finally remember they had a gotchi. So they're not at a complete loss, but yeah, gotchi's gone. And that would definitely shake things up.
I would rather give you fun ways to burn them than just kill them,
Mm.
because there are people that will come back and uh, I don't know. It's not. I don't feel like it's good karma to just randomly burn people's assets that they haven't touched in years, even though they're basically useless. But I don't know. Feels like we're kind of burning their like like a I don't know. It's like it just
They could just
doesn't give
fall
off the
into a
right vibe.
coma,
Yeah, yeah. They maybe it's
put
still
them onto
there,
life
but
support.
yeah. But I if we have more ways, more reasons to eat gotchis or burn the gotchis, I like that.
Yeah, anecdotally, I've run into when I go to IRL events because I usually wear my Music City Gotchi Gang jersey. I run into a lot of people who own gotchis that are like, "What's happening with it? I haven't pet it in
Yeah,
forever. I own it, but I'm not doing anything with it." So if we kill those, we're gonna anger a lot of people who still are like,
totally. If you could be like, oh, you could like, you should go sacrifice it to do something with it. You're gonna get all this essence, and people might actually re-engage more if we tell them that.
Yeah, well, there's another idea there. If your kinship drops below a certain point, probably to actual zero, they get excluded from our rarity farming. And then the other side is, yeah, if you neglected your gotchi that much, then it doesn't really matter if you're hungry.
make a new wearable and it's a phone wearable. It's like a burlap sack that goes over the gotchi's head that shows up as you pet it.
The sack of shame.
Oh, the shamefly thing is currently in flavor. Should we put up a leaderboard of the most neglected gotchis?
That I did have this idea before. Like right now, we cap it at 0, but technically, I think on chain you could find out what the
How
actual
negative.
kinship score is. Yeah, how low it's gone.
Definitely an option. We could definitely rank the neglect then. You know, I'm liking the zero kinship, zero rewards idea. That makes sense to me. All you have to do is pet it once or sign up to Orium and you're back in the running. But zero kinship gotchis could turn evil. Maybe that anger bites back.
All right. Well, we were having this combo in it's called this Ghost Value Strategies forum.
Mm-hmm.
Crypto Gotchi, I believe you made that summary. It was a really nice summary. If you click on his post and click all the way, it'll go all the way at the top. Quite a nice summary of the discussion so far. So please read that before you jump in, but keep talking about it throughout the week here. And yeah, I think that's I'm gonna jump off here, friends. And I know Foreign, it's late for you as well. Thank you so much for hosting, and can't wait to have you back in the EU time zone.
I'm looking forward to it.
Face.
Nightmare fuel. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for coming in and dropping ideas in the chat, and we'll see you all in the forums, and we'll see what we can get together and get going.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. Remember to sign up for
Bye,
Gotchi
everyone.
Battler. Peace.
Take it easy, friends.